Hello, everybody. Welcome to a bonus video here on the Chris Likey Movies channel. Just like last year, we are going to have a Likey Movie Awards talk video. I don't know how many of these we're going to have. I assume we're going to have at least one more. But I've got my pals, joining us here. We have Jeff Mangum. Jeff, say hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. And we have Taylor Clemens. Taylor, say hello.
Howdy.
Yeah, and I'll be trying to MC as best I can on this little nice, comfortable chit chat. This is a little more podcasty. You don't have to actually watch this if you just want to do chores and have this on. I understand. I completely am with you. We will have a little bit of visual aids to move everything along and help you out. But in less than 48 hours, we are going to have the Oscar nominations. And I'm just to the brim with excitement about this. I don't think there's a concrete front runner yet of who's going to win. We only have a few winners even in the precursor awards, but we'll get to that. But here we go. We're gonna talk Oscars. We're gonna talk movie awards. So we're going to mainly focus on the main 8, all 4 acting awards, both screenplay awards, best direction, and of course, best picture. We will talk a little bit about the other awards, but as far as making predictions, a lot of us mainly focus on those 8. So that's how we'll go about it. So we have quite a few precursor awards that have happened since this video. The Golden Globes from the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, they have already announced their winners as well as their nominees. So we'll get to that. The American Film Institute, of course, has already announced all the movies they give awards to. They don't do nominations. They just already have the awards out. And the National Board of Review, that is usually the very first in the predicting. They've got their list and their winner for Best Picture. So that's just a little bit of that. I've got a chart I'm going to show you here, but we also have the Producers Guild of America have announced their nominees. The Broadcast Film Critics Association, which are the Critics' Choice Awards, the nominees have been announced for that. We have the BAFTA Awards, that's the British Academy, they've announced their nominees. We have the Screen Actors Guild Awards. We do kind of pay attention to Best Cast. We think that does factor into this. That is their main award. They've got the nominees announced. They've got the Directors Guild of America, and they are known for absolutely nailing it on picking Best Picture with whoever they give outstanding direction to. So we absolutely include them. And then we've got the Writers Guild of America, who have an award for Outstanding Original Screenplay and Outstanding Adapted Screenplay. And I think that does factor in as well. So are there any other awards you all would say we might notice, or you think those are mainly the ones we should focus on?
Those are mainly the ones that I focus on, those 8.
Mm-hmm.
I know video brought to you by the number 8.
Yes. Yeah. Something we did learn last month, Best Picture this year will in fact have a solid 10 nominees. Everybody do their reindeer moose ears or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. Hey, maybe that's the thumbnail. So this hasn't happened since 2011. From those years in between, it was always an unsure number, but it was going to be between 5 nominees and 10 nominees. Of those years, it was always either 8 nominees or 9 nominees. So I think that's part of why they put a stop to that. Also, it's a lot more prediction friendly to have a solid number. That way we can't be like, I think it's going to be 8 this year and these 2 are going to be by the wayside, whatever. So without further ado, let's start with the big award. Let's start with Best Picture.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I just out of the blue here. Let's do it. But before we show our picks, I'm going to show that chart that I was talking about. And this is a little hard to read. I understand because I do everything in marker. But we have those awards I was talking about down the side here. PGA is not the golf company. That's the Producers Guild. Under that, you've got both Golden Globes. You've got the Critics' Choice. You've got BAFTA, American Film Institute, National Board of Review, Screen Actors Guild, Directors Guild, and both Writers Guild Awards. O for original screenplay, A for adapted screenplay. Down here, you got all the movies in alphabetical order that have been picking up all this attention. We've got Being the Ricardos, we've got Belfast, we've got Coda, we've got Cyrano, we've got Don't Look Up, we've got Dune, we've got The French Dispatch of the Liberty, Kansas Evening Sun. We have The House of Gucci. We've got King Richard. We've got The Last Duel. We've got Licorice Pizza. We've got Nightmare Alley. We've got The Power of the Dog. We've got Red Rocket. We've got Tick, Tick, Boom. We've got The Tragedy of Macbeth. And we have West Side Story. And all of these, we've got little N's. We've got W's with circles. We have an L if it's a list instead of nominees. But there you go. That's what we're looking at here. And again, the American Film Institute, they choose all winners. I did put an asterisk for Belfast because they earned a special award. Since they were not an American film, I believe that is the reason. Mm-hmm. But the main winners we have here, the Golden Globes again, for Best Drama, that went to The Power of the Dog. For Best Musical or Comedy, that went to West Side Story. And then the National Board of Review over here, they gave their winning award to Licorice Pizza. So that is what we know so far. This chart will be updated, I assure you. But every time I hold something up to the camera, I get blurry. But we're good. Okay, that's great. Now, with that knowledge in our pockets, let's see what people are predicting. Should I go first and then have you all, or does somebody want to go first?
Well, I'll go. And I do want to say that I misspoke. Chris mentioned 9 different precursors. WGA is not one that I follow as closely, so maybe I'll in the future add that to my list of 8. So he actually had 9. So just to clarify, and it's a really interesting story this year. My predictions are Belfast, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Coda, Don't Look Up, Tick, Tick, Boom, and Nightmare Alley. And I would say possibly cracking on that list will be The Tragedy of Macbeth and Being the Ricardos. This year, 11 films had at least 2 of the 8 precursors. So I have included those 11 films plus Being the Ricardos, and that was on the Producers Guild list. So not a lot of movies with only showing up on one list this year. So that kind of makes a little bit stronger prediction. So that is my top 10 with 2 that may replace one of those in the top 10.
I love it. And before we go to Taylor, the Producers Guild, they've been pretty good. I mean, Best Picture does go to the producers. So that is a huge one that we focus on. But they're never 100% correct on their nominations, are they? Have they ever been 100%?
They have in the past got all 10 nominees or whatever. They generally have the Best Picture on their list 96.9% of the time.
Yeah.
And for choosing the Best Picture, they line up about 68.75% of the time. So fairly accurate. Not as accurate as some other awards, but still pretty accurate.
Yeah. Wow. That's something else. Taylor, are you ready to reveal your picks for the nominations for Best Picture?
Now's as good a time as ever.
Oh,
I echo pretty much everything Jeff said exactly, except that I don't think Nightmare Alley is going to crack it this year. I think it is going to be Being the Ricardos in the Best Picture 10. But I do agree that those like three, Nightmare Alley, Being the Ricardos, and Macbeth, are like all right on the outside, just fighting for that last spot. But I think it'll go to Being the Ricardos because Hollywood loves movies about themselves, and there's just a lot of like nostalgia and residual love for Lucille Ball and I Love Lucy. And
right.
at the end of the day, it's just a really, really entertaining movie.
Yeah, I feel that. By doing that, you are going with the Producers Guild 100%, it seems like. Is that correct?
You have the statistics, but if you say that is true, that is true.
I think that's what that means. Yeah.
And by coincidence, I'm going 100% with the Critics' Choice list.
Oh wow! Okay, interesting. And they are also the Broadcast Film Critics Association. They do a great job with the predicting.
They have 100%.
They predict early on too.
Yep, 100% of the time they have the best picture as part of their top 10. So they're the most accurate with having the best picture winner as a part of their 10.
Okay, and Diva doesn't like that, it seems. So yeah, whatever.
She prefers the National Board of Review. It's point of contention.
To each their own. And it's really funny that one of you has Nightmare Alley in that 10th spot. One of you has Being the Ricardos in that 10th spot. Guess what I have?
I think I know what you're
in my 10th spot. That's right. So my picks for Best Picture nominations, I have Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, The Power of the Dog, Tick, Tick, Boom, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. So I know I'm really taking a chance by saying Tragedy of Macbeth. According to this chart I just showed you all, this movie really, it made the list for the National Board of Review, and it was one of the recipients of the American Film Institute. And that's really it. And those
the
were
only one with 2 precursors, according to my chart.
Yeah, those are pretty early awards.
December.
Yeah, and the movie was released Christmas Day, mostly in this country. It is a black and white film. There already is a pretty strong contender as a black and white film with Belfast. So it would be unusual to see 2 black and white films in that race.
But never underestimate the power of the Coens.
Exactly. I think the Coen, and it's only one Coen making this one. Joel Coen directed this movie without his brother Ethan. But the Coens are very, very friendly with Academy voters. They out of the blue, they were nominated in screenplay for The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, despite a lot of other early predictions. There was another one I'm trying to remember.
They were nominated for A Serious Man for Best Picture.
A Serious Man
in 2001.
The very first time that in a while that we had 10 Best Picture nominations. They cracked it with that. So yeah, like he says, do not underestimate the Coens, and I don't plan to do that, especially when they've got such powerhouse stars in the leads like Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand. Again, I'm rolling the dice on this. I realize I am. I think I have on my in my notes on my phone, I put some possibles and I put some long shots. Nightmare Alley and Being the Ricardos are definitely in the possibles. I would also include Drive My Car as a possible buster there. The Academy does like to throw a foreign film some love, an international feature. I mean, we all know Parasite won Best Picture a few years ago. Some other examples, Amour came along suddenly. Crouch the Tiger, Hidden Dragon. They do show love to international features in Best Picture every so often.
They show Amour.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Hey, I like the cut of your jib there. So that's those three films I definitely see as possible. Long shots, I would include Cyrano, The French Dispatch, House of Gucci, The Lost Daughter, and Red Rocket. I don't think. Yeah, I think the movies that have the least chance to break this award are that were on my chart are Red Rocket and The Last Duel. And to an extent, The French Dispatch. It could be a curveball with Wes Anderson. You never know with him. But I think Guillermo del Toro won Best Picture recently enough that they're not gonna completely look over Nightmare Alley. I think the box office numbers have been discouraging for it, and that's going to hurt it. But it's Guillermo del Toro, and
right,
and yeah, it's a solid movie. What do you all think about? So House of Gucci, really the only attention it kind of got was from the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And again, that is best cast, not exactly best picture. But I mean, it's Ridley Scott that made this film. What are your all's thoughts on House of Gucci's chances here?
I mean, I definitely think that there's a possibility, as the actors branch is the largest branch of the Academy. However, I think they're more interested in applauding the performances rather than the actual filmmaking itself. So I think that's kind of a drawback, but definitely worth mentioning since the actors branch is so large.
Yeah. Taylor, do you have anything to add to that?
I have not seen House of Gucci yet because I was told by someone on this panel to stay away from it until I could watch it at home. But I don't know. It's almost weird. I feel like every year there's that kind of that like one sore spot that you hear about it and it's got so much potential, and then it comes out and it just kind of flops. Like I feel like you had that kind of like with the Goldfinch. I don't know. There's probably a long list of other ones that you thought like really gonna make waves. But I do think it's really, really interesting that like with the BAFTAs, which not to like venture too much into a different category, but like with the BAFTAs new nomination system with like the body chooses and then the jury chooses the other three, that like Lady Gaga managed to survive and made it on the BAFTA nominations for Best Actress. So I don't know. I think I would agree that there's less love for the film and more love for like the performances, but like specifically Lady Gaga, just kind of holding it up on her back and being one of the redeemable qualities.
Yeah, it seemed like a complete curveball to me that House of Gucci was nominated for Best Cast over some other very prominent films here, like West Side Story and The Power of the Dog, both. The Golden Globe winners for Best Picture. Neither one of them are up for Best Cast. And I mean, you mentioned Lady Gaga. She's nominated twice by the Screen Actors Guild because she's got a solo nomination and she's part of that cast, the Best Cast nominee, as well as Jared Leto. So it's very shocking to see that, but it could be a bit of a curveball and it could be strong enough. Who's to say? But you all would probably agree with some of those long shots I said, The French Dispatch and The Lost Daughter is another one that could be a pretty big curveball. Maggie Gyllenhaal wrote and directed this film. It is an adapted screenplay. It's based on a novel, but yeah, I know it did win Best Feature with the Gotham Independent Film Awards, and ever since then, Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley both are earning acting nominations here and there. Screenplay, it keeps popping up. So I wouldn't count that out either as a potential spoiler for like I said, I'd still include it as a long shot, but it's bubbling into possible, those two films because of that. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Another thing I kind of thought about was, and I kind of mentioned this in our little private chat, but all three of us have 3 films from Netflix productions. Those would be Don't Look Up, The Power of the Dog, and Tick Tick Boom. I'm wondering if that's too much Netflix love. I know they've nominated Netflix films in the past.
Yeah, I think based on last year, where most of the nominees were heavily streamed, I think that's just kind of the new nature of film release. I don't think it will play that much of a factor.
So
like
you don't think
back in the days of Roma, I don't think it. I think it's become more acceptable. Now, I think 3 from Netflix is not out of the question.
Yeah. I know you talked about which one we thought would maybe miss.
Mhm.
I don't know. The only reason I said, I said Don't Look Up if they were going to snub one, just because, I don't know, I feel like that movie has been extremely divisive, even though it arguably is like, out of all the nominations or best picture contenders, it's probably the one that's been seen by the most amount of people, just because it's been plastered on Netflix since Christmas and got a really good cast, and Joe Schmo off the
Here's
street.
how dense I am. How dense I am. I just realized like this weekend, oh, the title, Don't Look Up. That title is saying don't do research. That is why they named it that. Oh yeah. It went over my head until just then. So yeah.
And it did hit 7 of my 8 precursors. So it's gotten a lot of attention from.
It's amazing how much attention it has received. Yeah. I was not expecting BAFTA to throw it some best picture love, the British Academy again. But it's been very, very in the talks here. So I think when I did that poll, which of these Netflix films could you see getting snubbed, of any of them, Tick Tick Boom was the one that won that poll. And I can see why. It's it's Hollywood picking these films, and it's a very New York based kind of film, when there is kind of an unspoken rivalry of Hollywood and Broadway, and I don't agree with it personally, but I could see them being big, turning their noses up at it. But I hope it's not the case. I enjoy that film. I actually just watched it a second time yesterday. The pacing is incredible, and I can't believe it's the very first film directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I can always imagine Taylor hit the shock on his face with some of these cameos.
Well, no, that was like, I don't know. I just really, really, really enjoyed that movie for a lot of reasons, just because I do love the show that it's based on. I think it's really, really great music, obviously. It was a lot of, I don't want to say unreleased, but just like the fact they took this one-man show and kind of clobbered it into, a 3-person musical and put it on stage. And then all these years later, it's kind of gone back to that one-man show perspective, telling the story. I don't know. I just think it's really, really clever how they put it together. And I think, and honestly, if you boil it down, the awards love that it's getting is great, but it was always made as like a love letter to musical theater fans. And I think it accomplishes that. So everything else is gravy.
Absolutely. I can agree with that. Before we move along to the next award, let's get one more question out of the way on Best Picture. Jeff, it looked like on your note of your predictions that you had them in order of what you thought would be most likely the top. I know it wasn't alphabetical order. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yes. Belfast and Power of the Dog have kind of flip-flopped front runner status. And of the two, I preferred Belfast. So that's kind of why those two were at the top. Then beyond that, it's kind of the strength of the precursors from there, like how many we saw.
Well, that does lead to my this final question. Let's theoretically say Best Picture is only 5 nominees. What would those 5 nominees be? So Jeff, yours would be.
Yep. Well, that would be Belfast, Power of the Dog, West Side Story, Dune, and Licorice Pizza. I think Licorice Pizza would be over King Richard.
Okay. Taylor, what would you say about that?
I don't know. I'm looking at my list right now. I think I don't know. I would probably say Belfast, Power of the Dog, Dune, Licorice Pizza, and West Side Story.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would totally agree with Belfast, Licorice Pizza, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. That 5th one, I'd probably give, honestly, to Don't Look Up, just from the precursor attention. So I find that pretty interesting. I think Dune would probably be the 6th spot there. But it's a very technical marvel, and so is West Side Story in a way. So I think it'd be interesting to see what everybody else's 5 would be. Anyway, let's go on now to Best Direction. So I think we'll just stay in the order we started with. Jeff, do you want to take it away?
Yep. And I will say I base this a lot on the DGA nominations because they do often go 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5 with matching up with the Oscar nominations. So I have Jane Campion, Denis Villeneuve, Paul Thomas Anderson, Steven Spielberg, and Kenneth Branagh.
Okay.
And some of the possibilities, again, Drive My Car, Ryosuke Hamaguchi, I think could, like last year's Another Round director, possibly break that 5. Lin-Manuel Miranda, as we mentioned, Tick, Tick, Boom, could possibly sneak in there. A lot of love for Lin-Manuel Miranda. Also, a couple of the other films we mentioned earlier, Joel Cohen for Tragedy Macbeth and Adam McKay, Don't Look Up. Thought those would be possibilities as well.
For sure. Okay, I love it. Taylor, how about you, man?
I've got the exact same 5 that Jeff has got. I think that's like a really, really solid thought process of those 5. But if I was gonna give like one wild card, I like maybe throw Maggie Gyllenhaal in there.
Okay.
As a potential spoiler.
Yeah. And you know, female directors are very in right now, thankfully. I think it's interesting. I think this is going to be twice, second year in a row that a female director wins Best Direction. That's personally where I'm at right now. As we learn later on, we'll see. But yeah, we're all 3 on the exact same. So I went exactly 5 for 5 with the Directors Guild. They're more often times than not 4 out of 5. But I think it's wise to go along with this. I think just before the nominations came out, it was like, who will get that 5th spot? It seemed like a certainty that it would be Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Denis Villeneuve for Dune. Apologies for butchering that pronunciation, by the way, if I did. Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. Everyone was like, where's that 5th spot going? I correctly predicted it was Paul Thomas Anderson with Licorice Pizza. And it seems pretty solid. I'd be surprised if it's not this group. But that said, I think you were very correct, Jeff, on throwing in Drive My Car. I think, Taylor, you were very correct in throwing in Maggie Gyllenhaal. I'd also throw in Guillermo del Toro for Nightmare Alley. again, the recent love for The Shape of Water could keep him fresh in voters' memories. In my notes here, the possibles I do have is Adam McKay, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Guillermo del Toro. And in the long shots, I did have Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car in there, only because it's hard to say with an international feature, but that is the one that's been getting in the front more than the others. In my long shots, I also have Aaron Sorkin for Being the Ricardos, Wes Anderson for The French Dispatch, Lin-Manuel Miranda for Tick, Tick, Boom, and Joel Cohen for The Tragedy of Macbeth. I very nearly put Joel Cohen in my picks for Best Direction, but chose against it. Again, the two black and white films, it's tough to say, but yeah, I think we're all in agreement that if it's not those five, it probably should be.
Yeah, and Maggie Gyllenhaal and Lin-Manuel Miranda were both awarded with the best first feature from the DGA, so they have a very strong chance of making it from that as well.
That is
Out of
also
those five, who do you guys think is most susceptible to not making the cut? That's what I want to know.
most susceptible. I
Yeah,
think
being left out.
honestly, I'm probably going to get some pushback for this, but I think it's Denis Villeneuve.
I would say him or Paul Thomas Anderson.
There's a bit of a Christopher Nolan vibe with Denis. So I would hate to see that. I think Dune is beautiful to look at.
It's a passion project as well.
And it was a passion project, yeah. So, but being sci-fi, it could have that Dark Knight vibe with voters. So I don't know. I think it's either him or Paul Thomas Anderson. What's that?
Arrival? Was he? I don't think he was nominated for. He was for director.
Was he nominated for it?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I want to say he was. Because I think, thinking back, I want to say that I took a chance on predicting him as a nominee for it, and it worked. But I don't know if somebody wants to look that up. Excellent. Paul Thomas Anderson was the one that Twitter was kind of saying, hey, who's this fifth one going to be? Everybody voted, yeah, it's going to be Paul Thomas Anderson. I can't remember whose account I was following with that, but there was a big vote, and he won, and he got the nomination from the DGA.
Yeah, he was nominated for the Academy Award.
Okay, I wanted to say so. Yeah.
I might get pushback for this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Spielberg didn't make the cut, personally.
Well, he didn't make the cut with BAFTA, so you might be onto something there.
Yeah, he actually, I think, has the record for the most DGAs. So
really?
There's some love, and
yeah.
But like we said, sometimes they're 4 out of 5, so it's kind of hard to say it's an absolute.
Yeah, it's with BAFTA, it's interesting that Spielberg was snubbed, and West Side Story had a lot of snubs from the BAFTA awards. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the most glaring one.
Weird acting curveballs, though, or one specifically.
Oh yeah, and we'll get to that for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we may have somebody joining us, by the way, but we'll get to that. Does anybody have anything more to add about Best Direction?
I don't think we can move on.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, let's go with the acting. Shall we start with leading actor or leading actress? I prefer actress personally.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Excellent. In that case, here we go. Jeff.
Yes, this is, as is often the case, this is a very interesting race to follow because the precursors have been all over the place. There's rumors of people gaining in popularity that aren't even on the precursors. So my list is Lady Gaga, Jessica Chastain, Nicole Kidman, Olivia Colman, and I have Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers. And it may be because I just saw the film, but she has been gaining in buzz from what I've been following. So that is my 5. But again, I have 3. There could be several more that could crack the 5. Elena Haim, Rachel Ziegler, and Kristen Stewart. I'm still holding out hope for Kristen Stewart because she had a lot of early buzz that kind of subsided without having a BAFTA or a SAG nomination. So it's she may still have enough potential, but I don't think enough to crack the top 5.
Okay.
But possibility.
I like it. I like it. Taylor, what do you think about Best Leading Actress?
Yeah, it's been just a lot of shuffling and people falling behind and then taking the lead. And I actually think Stewart still manages to get in.
Okay.
Personally, a lot of the times, as you guys know, the Oscars love to do like a welcome to the club nomination. Like we see you, you're invited to the party. We'll nominate you again later, maybe. So I don't know. I feel like Kristen Stewart has kind of earned her spot as that type of nominee. And then the only other 2 that I have that I feel like are definites are Lady Gaga and Nicole Kidman. I feel like the other 2 slots are just very up in the air. As much as I would love to predict Jessica Chastain, because I don't know if you've seen it yet, Chris. Eyes of Tammy Faye. I know it was not Jeff's favorite, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I thought she did a lot with that role. And, that was another passion project for her. I think it was like 12 years in the making. And I think it really showed. And I think she handled it with a lot of care. So I would love to see her get in. And I don't know how you can like watch that film and think, it's not at least worthy of a nomination for her.
Okay.
But yeah, those other 2, I've heard Penelope Cruz's name floating around. I've heard maybe Olivia Colman is now on the outside of like the bubble. Maybe somebody else sneaks in. But yeah, I think Kidman, Gaga, and I'm predicting Stewart to make it into the top 5. But those other 2 slots, if I was forced to pick right now, I'd probably say Chastain and Coleman, which I feel like is a very safe 5 to choose.
Okay.
Yeah, and for those of you keeping score at home, Taylor has told 2 of my opinions and thrown me under the bus twice. So we'll keep a tally throughout the rest of the broadcast.
Oh my.
Of movies that I have not cared for that have been put on blast.
Oh no,
you have a letterbox.
Whatever.
People know.
Hey, if any viewers have any complaints about any of the opinions of this video, we got a comment section. Let us have it. Whatever. Maybe we'll read it. Before I show my predictions, Kels, hello. How's it going?
Oh, hold on. Oh, it's going good.
Hey!
Thought I would drop in and just, watch the show live.
Yeah, hey, I like it. Very nice.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep, I'll keep over here, keep my keep my thoughts to myself and just want to hear what you all think and what you all feel. Like I told you all the other day, I haven't really seen many of the movies, but I do keep up by reading, I just read my lovely New York Times predictions, Entertainment Weekly predictions, Vulture.com predictions.
You sound very informed, actually.
Well, I do follow the races. And I was actually surprised by some of the New York Times choices that were kind of different from what other people have been saying. But I meant to take a photo and share that with you all, but I forgot and I don't know where I put the paper now. So I might, while I'm muted, maybe I'll go see if I can find it online. And there were a few that I was surprised, and Entertainment Weekly also is slightly different from what a lot of other things are saying. But Entertainment Weekly's most recent one, not most recent, probably this was out of the last print issue that I read, came before the most recent spate of, I think, BAFTA nominations or winners. Has BAFTA had winners yet, or just nominations?
Just nominations.
Nations.
A
Okay.
lot of them are just nominations right now, honestly.
Okay, so yeah, I just that was interesting, but I'm just popping in because it's Sunday night, and you know, I wanted to join the party.
Yeah, I mean, it's less than 48 hours till nomination morning, so
We're about 36 right now.
it's fun to discuss right now.
Countdown.
Yeah, and we're not editing this video. We're just going straight through. We're just, zooming through like a snow piercer.
Okay.
So you're just in time to see my predictions here of best leading actress, and they're probably going to be, controversial. I expect I'd probably get like 2 of these right, but I think this is how it's shaping up. I think it's going to be Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, Lady Gaga for House of Gucci, Alana Haim for Licorice Pizza, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and Rachel Zegler for West Side Story. And something interesting about that last nominee, she has won the Golden Globe and the National Board of Review, but since then, it's just kind of been radio silence, I've noticed. And it's an interesting development. I felt a little foolish not putting Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, but we have to think about some things with that one. Jessica Chastain has been snubbed kind of unfairly in the past, kind of unpredictably.
Miss Sloan.
Molly's Game.
Yep.
Yeah, so it happens to her more often than not, I'm sorry to say. I mean, she does have some nominations under her belt, Zero Dark 30 and The Help.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just those 2, or maybe one I'm forgetting. But the other thing is with The Eyes of Tammy Faye, yes, it is a portrayal of a real life person, and that always helps in these situations, but it's also a very early release of a film, and it's really the only attention that the film has been getting at all.
I will say that she has Golden Globe, SAG, and Critics' Choice. Yeah,
it's true. She's got some. She definitely has some strong precursor award love there. So.
Yeah, the film itself just kind of came and went, and nobody really paid that much attention to it. But I will say early on, though, there was talk of potentially Andrew Garfield in supporting for Eyes of Tammy Faye, which I thought he gave a great performance too, and he was a great match with Jessica Chastain. But then Tick, Tick, Boom came out, and everybody was like, oh, well, if we're going to do Andrew Garfield, this is what we're going to do it for. So, but yeah, I agree. It's kind of just quote unquote old news at this point.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Let's I'm gonna pull up my notes again here. In my possibles, I do have Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, obviously. I have Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, and I've got Kristen Stewart for Spencer, who has earned a plethora of critics prizes. And she did get the Critics' Choice Award nomination and the Golden Globe nomination. But then it was kind of like Rachel Zegler again. It was just kind of radio silence from those points on. So in the long shots, I do have a Screen Actors Guild nominee, Jennifer Hudson for Respect and her portrayal of Aretha Franklin. I have Amelia Jones in Coda. I have Jennifer Lawrence in Don't Look Up. I have, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, the star of The Worst Person in the World, Renate Reinsve?
Renata
Reinsve, thank you. And I've got Tessa Thompson for Passing. But I think it's between those 8 of Olivia Colman, Lady Gaga, Alana Haim, Nicole Kidman, Rachel Zegler, Jessica Chastain, Penelope Cruz, and Kristen Stewart. It's so up in the air in this category. So you just recently saw Parallel Mothers, Jeff.
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, she's reunited with Pedro Almodovar, who she was
Mhm.
nominated for Voltaire.
Yes.
I think they're each other's muse. Really, they do their best work with each other.
Yep.
It's a very emotionally driven arc that her character goes through. And she's just mesmerizing on screen. Like I forgot how well Penelope Cruz, takes the screen, and then you just can't keep your eyes off of her because she's just so expressive and just so striking. So I think that bodes very well for her chances. And fun fact, if she is nominated, she'd be one of only 5 women to be nominated for 2 non-English performances. So I'd like to see that little bit of history as well to happen.
That's really cool. And so Taylor, you think this might be Kristen Stewart's first Oscar nomination with Spencer? You've seen Spencer, right?
I have.
Okay.
And I know, Jeff, you've seen Spencer, right? Chris, have you seen it yet?
No, I have not yet. So please enlighten me.
So for people who might not know, it takes place over 3 days.
Over Christmas.
And yes, over Christmas, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. And it's kind of just like a peek into Princess Diana's psyche, and it's a theoretical understanding of what may have been going on at the time. It's billed as it's like a real life fable or like a true fable or something like that. It's billed at the beginning, so it's very much meant to be more of a deep dive into like her psyche and her emotional trauma, and
it also has some fantastical elements as well. That's kind of where the fable
some
comes
fantastical and paranormal elements almost sometimes. But along with like Jessica Chastain, those are probably my favorite 2 of the year. If I was going to pick 2 of my favorite actresses that I wish would get nominated, are Kristen Stewart and Jessica Chastain for this year. Just because, like I said with Chastain's case, how you can watch that and say, how does that not deserve a nomination? I feel the same way about Kristen Stewart. I've been warming up to her more, in the past few years. I feel like a lot of people had, put that stigma on her of, being in the Twilight movies and, never really took her seriously. But I do think she's really, really leveled up. And I was blown away by her. And I think that movie is criminally underrated this award season as well. I thought the direction, the production design, the score of that movie, everything was just gorgeous. But yeah, Kristen Stewart, along with like Jessica Chastain, she just pulls that movie and is the heart and soul of it. And I just think she's phenomenal, and it should be overlooked.
It is worth mentioning also that the film was very overlooked by the BAFTAs, and that seems like a very British themed film. So I wonder what that could possibly mean. I don't know. Hey, Kels.
Yes.
Do you have any hopefuls? Like, do you have anybody that you would like to see get a nomination for Best Lead Actress?
Well, since the only film I've really seen out of all of these is West Side Story, and this is not because I've seen it, but I would love to see Rachel Zegler get the nomination. I thought she was luminous. I thought she pretty much carried the film, or was one of the there were many great actors. She didn't carry the film. She carried Ansel. What's his face?
Ansel Elgort. Yeah.
She had to do a lot of work. And I thought that she was just, I think she was just angelic. And that's exactly what
that's a great word for it.
She's, I've seen her on making the rounds on some talk shows, and I have a lot of respect for her. And I just think she has great charisma. And I know she's not a shoo-in for the win, but that's, an actor that, of course, it is still her first time. So I'm also one of these people who is like, you got to earn your keep, honey, but, hey, her everything But actually, I was just looking up. I was about to say that one of the New York Times predictions for Best Actress that nobody else seems to have, as far as the media goes, they do have Jennifer Hudson down for Respect as one of their 5 picks.
Well,
so
yeah,
that was one of the ones that I thought was interesting that I don't think any other platform or, had, chosen as the final, to include as the final 5.
It could happen. She does have an Oscar. She won Best Supporting Actress for Dreamgirls. So, and that was a debut performance. Nobody really knew her except from American Idol before that. So
She was also recognized by the SAG.
Yeah, and Screen Actors Guild noticed Jennifer Hudson for sure for Respect this year. So it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
Would you all like to hear the New York Times prediction for Best Actress, who they have?
Yeah, why not? What do they have?
They have chosen Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, Lady Gaga for House of Gucci, Jennifer Hudson for Respect, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart for Spencer. Those are their predictions. Or the one guy's prediction.
Yeah, and Nicole Kidman. I have both Golden Globe winners on my predictions, Rachel Zegler and Nicole Kidman, who won Best Lead Actress for Drama for playing Lucille Ball. I thought she was miles ahead of the rest of the film personally. I think, say what you will about the makeup and hairstyling and Aaron Sorkin's screenplay of how Lucille Ball is portrayed. But if you just take it as a character alone, Nicole Kidman did amazing stuff with this person and turned it human. There's a strong sense of humanity with this character. I think she will get nominated. She might even win this year. Who knows? She only has one Oscar win. She may be another one of these instances where, she should have a second one. And this might be the way to do it. I don't know. But let's move along. Let's go now to leading actor. Jeff, take it away with your predictions. Best leading actor.
I have Will Smith, Benedict Cumberbatch, Andrew Garfield, Denzel Washington, and Peter Dinklage. My possibilities, Javier Bardem, Leonardo DiCaprio, Nicolas Cage, and Mahershala Ali.
Okay.
I think 4 of those are pretty secure. I think that's really the 5th spot, which I have Dinklage for the 5th spot.
Okay. All right, fantastic. Taylor, you're up to bat.
I think Jeff and I are matching again. Again, I think the 5th spot is Dinklage. And I think that's just because that movie just hasn't been seen by a ton of people yet. I still really want to see it. But I would, if we were going to choose one that's on the outside, I would put Bardem as number 6. I feel like his Golden Globe, and he got nominated for SAG too, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like both those nominations, seemingly out of nowhere, could be a tell that people are jiving with this movie more than maybe previously thought. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he and Nicole Kidman went hand in hand and both made the cut. But right now, I think it is safe to say Dinklage as the 5th spot.
Okay. All right. And I'll show you my picks. Spoiler, I went completely with the Screen Actors Guild Award nominations on this one. I think Javier Bardem is going to break into there. And as you all said, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom, Will Smith for King Richard, and Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. This is not a pick I'm actually in favor of, and I'm sorry to anybody that disagrees, but there was nothing about Javier Bardem's performance to me that made me think I'm watching Ricky Ricardo. and I don't take that as a slam on the actor or his portrayal of it. He is obviously a very talented person, and he definitely struck me as a showman in this movie. But I think it worked better for Nicole Kidman to play this character who happens to be named Lucille Ball. As far as, okay, I can kind of see the real life Lucille Ball being like this. With Javier Bardem's performance, there was just something that didn't ring true to me. And I don't think it's his fault. I think there was just something that was off. My internet connection is saying unstable. I apologize if I'm breaking through or becoming blippy or anything.
You crashed the internet with your controversial opinion.
People are throwing things against the wall.
Aaron Sorkin. Aaron Sorkin is affecting your transmission.
Yeah.
You'll say nothing bad about my movie.
Is that a brick coming through my window? No. But yeah, I think he's going to break through. I think this is a category that the Screen Actors Guild Awards often nail 5 for 5. And I think this year will be no different in that. But I will pull up my possibles. Of course, I have Peter Dinklage in there for Cyrano, who did earn Critics' Choice Award nomination and a Golden Globe nomination. I would love to see it. I would love to see him nominated. In my possibles, I also have Mahershala Ali for Swan Song. Have any of you seen Swan Song?
I have not. The reason he's in my possibilities is because of his Golden Globe and BAFTA nominations.
Yeah, the BAFTA award nomination. And speaking of, that's the third person in my possible section is Leonardo DiCaprio for Don't Look
Same
Up.
awards.
He has a very strong monologue scene in that film, and I think that's leading his chances. That's the Oscar clip, or whatever. So I think those three are the possibles. I'm never going to count out Mahershala Ali.
Right, two-time winner.
He already has 2 Oscars under his belt.
It's kind of funny with
Moonlight and Green Book. What's that?
The people we're talking about. Only Peter Dinklage has not been nominated before. Like everyone else that we're talking about are past nominees and winners. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is a good point. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. And I think that would add to my excitement to see him getting nominated. In my long shots, he was almost in my possibles. Nicolas Cage for Pig. He has a lot of critics prizes this year for that film. Also in the long shots, I have Cooper Hoffman for Licorice Pizza. I have Hidetoshi Nishijima for Drive My Car. I have Anthony Ramos for In the Heights. And I have Simon Rex for Red Rocket. What do you all think? Those pretty solid long shots on that.
Yeah, I would say they've had some attention, but as far as the precursor nominations, they haven't shown up much. Hoffman and Ramos and Cage all have one. But yeah, I think they're definitely solid long shots.
Yeah.
Okay. Taylor, you agree, Seth?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think it's
pretty
safe to assume they're not going to make the cut.
Yeah, and I think in the long shots, I think the strongest of the long shots are Nicolas Cage and Hidetoshi Nishijima. Again, I don't know. Drive My Car is definitely throwing me off. But Jeff, you saw Drive My Car.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite films that I saw. It's like you'll see it a lot in my predictions. Because it's just the direction's beautiful, the cinematography is beautiful, the screenplay is I've described it as poetic. The performances are so grounded and real, and it's just beautiful. I definitely recommend. I was fortunate enough to see it in the theater. I know it's not playing a lot of places,
Mhm.
but definitely it's one to watch. It's 3 hours, and it held my attention the entire time. Like I
Wow.
didn't even. It's kind of like in the vein of like Lawrence of Arabia and like the old school epics that just take your breath away the entire time, and you don't even realize that they're that long. There's some films that you feel every single minute of the 180 minutes, but this was not one of those. Like it's just thoroughly enjoyable because again, there was always something to hold your interest. So
Excellent.
highly recommend.
Have either of you seen Pig?
I saw Pig.
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
And it's one like you feel every single minute of it. I just didn't identify. I didn't connect with it.
Okay.
But I can see why Nicolas Cage is getting attention because it is a very gritty and raw performance.
Yeah.
But to me, it just doesn't. Just like I said, it just didn't connect for me. Like I just had no interest. Like the characters are just you don't really want to root for them, which is funny because it's about truffle pigs. Get it? Root. Anyway, yeah, I just did not connect for me. But again, I can see why he's getting attention for it because it's a very different performance than everything else that's out there.
Yeah, that's what I've heard is that it's a lot more subtle than what you usually expect from Nicolas Cage, which is like, Face Off or whatever. But yeah, I did see Cooper Hoffman. I thought it was a strong debut. I don't know that he's quite to the point. I don't think he's
I think he
earned his stripes
benefited from
yet.
the Golden Globes expansion to a comedy nomination. Like I think that helped him a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I enjoyed Anthony Ramos in
I
the
did too.
Heights.
I did too.
Talk
about another
as Uznavi.
criminally overlooked film and award season. In the
Yeah.
Heights, I thought was just fantastic, and it's gotten virtually no buzz because it's been replaced by so many other things.
Yeah, this was a strong year for musicals. I thought, and yeah, that one led the way. Once In the Heights came out in theaters, I remember thinking, "Oh man, West Side Story has their has their work cut out for them." But that was also obviously a major success too. And Tick Tick Boom and Cyrano is going to be coming soon. I'm excited to see that. So yeah, very much looking forward to it. Let's see if Kells has any opinion on the leading actor race. Do you have any favorites that you'd like to see bubble up?
No, I have no knowledge to be able to contribute to who I think should be included.
But not Ansel Elgort, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think we have to worry about that. No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do like many of the people. I would like to not see a Leonardo DiCaprio because it's a situation where I'm assuming when you all get to Best Picture, you'll talk more about actually all of Don't Look Up and whether it should or should not be in there. But, Leo getting the nomination would be like a situation where there are sometimes somebody gets nominated, even though they're just because they're great, period. They get nominated for a role and they steal the spot from somebody who was more deserving, who if Leo gets nominated, great, but he's not going to win it. So give the spot to somebody new, somebody who had just not somebody who's a better actor, but somebody who had a better role in a better movie. And that's just an example. It happens.
Or maybe to somebody hungrier, I get where you're saying, where you're coming from.
It's like when Meryl Streep gets nominated for Raising Her Pinky Finger. Meryl's great, but do we really need to see her nominated for this or that role when there's 5 other people over here who never have been, who worked really hard on, what they did? But that's just my 2.
I did see that's great. No, you're one with the people, Kels. I did see a very funny image on Twitter recently. I think it was this morning actually, that It was like when there's a spot open in the 5th place of Oscar nominations, and it was an actual picture of a KFC sign with the marquee underneath, and in the marquee somebody had put Leonardo DiCaprio eats free. And like this actually was a picture that's somebody actually did put that on a KFC sign somewhere, I guess. So I was like, I mean, that could ring very, very true. We shall see. Let's go on to supporting actress, and let me see if I can find my cards here. I feel like Jeff, go ahead. Oh, here they are.
Sorry, I was chewing ice. I knew that would be good for audio, so I had to mute myself. But here we are. Best supporting actress. I have, and I'm gonna do some of the heavy hitting with some of these names, so you're all welcome.
Thank you.
I have Ariana DeBose, Kirsten Dunst, Anjanou Ellis, Katrina Balfe, and Ruth Nega as my 5. This is a very jam-packed category, so to have only 4 more possibles was very difficult. But I have Ann Dowd, Marlee Matlin, Jessie Buckley, and Rita Moreno. This category, I think, is one of the most jam-packed categories with so many deserving performances this year from supporting actors. Again, being big fan of Oscar history, it'd be really fun for Ariana DeBose to win for a role that Rita Moreno won for 60 years prior, and even to see Rita Moreno nominated would be fun as well. 2 from the same movie, one playing in a remake. Belfast, love that. I love that they've been showing up in the supporting actor races, because I think that is a great ensemble, as well as the King Richard ensemble. So we see Anjanou Ellis here, one of my favorite performances of the year. Kirsten Dunst. I've loved Kirsten Dunst for a long time. I don't particularly think a nomination is worthy for what I saw in Power of the Dog, but I know that she has received a lot of buzz, so that's why she made it into the 5. Ruth Nega is another one that the performance kind of left me a little bit lacking, a little bit longing, but again, she's received 3 out of the 4 acting precursor nominations, so that's why I included Ruth Nega in my 5. But before Taylor talks about Ann Dowd, I want to say that I would be thrilled for her performance from Mass to be recognized.
Oh, now what makes you think Taylor's going to talk about Ann Dowd?
I just have an inkling.
Oh, okay.
I was literally about to say we've made it to the moment of the night where I get to talk about Mass.
Yeah.
We've reached critical mass.
Yes.
But I've got the same picks, except I am putting my faith into the universe that Ann Dowd will get recognized, and I have her in over Ruth Nega.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Just because that movie just needs something. That movie can't just, I refuse to believe that it can go unrecognized. It's just, I don't know. People need to see it to understand.
Okay. Now, what's making you choose Ruth Nega, just out of curiosity, as the spot Ann Dowd will take?
I don't know. I definitely feel like she's one of the few people that's like on the bubble fighting for the 5th slot. So just process of elimination. And I don't know. I think Ann Dowd's BAFTA nomination was very delightful and surprising in like the best way. And so, that kind of late in the game kind of recognition and surge could help her.
For sure. Okay. My picks are exactly like Jeff's picks. I do have Katriana Balfe for Belfast. I have Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. I've got Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog. I got Anjanou Ellis for King Richard, and I have Ruth Nega in Passing. Now, this was a very tough one for me to make because I very, very nearly put Ann Dowd for Mass. I very, very nearly put Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter. And I very, very nearly put Kate Blanchett for Nightmare Alley. Those are my three possibles. I think in the long shots here, we have Gaby Hoffman for Come On, Come On. We have a performance I loved, Catherine Hunter in The Tragedy of Macbeth. We have Marlene Matlin in Coda. We have, of course, Rita Moreno in West Side Story. And I've also got Martha Plimpton from Mass in the long shots there. I think Ann Dowd does have a stronger chance than Plimpton if the critics' prizes are any indication. But let's let's talk about Ann Dowd some more. So that performance really struck with you, didn't it, Taylor?
It's I don't want to say her specifically just because I feel like everyone in that movie gave really great performances, and I feel like if that movie had been better marketed and better campaigned, then we might have a very different Oscar season right now when it comes to acting nominees.
Yeah, it's a bit of the it's kind of the 12 Angry Men of this Oscar season in a way.
Yeah, I feel like Ann Dowd is the one, which don't get me wrong, I loved her in that film and I think she's fantastic and a nomination would be well deserved, but I feel like she is kind of the token representation for that movie this year. And I feel like her getting in is maybe the industry's way of saying, yeah, we saw Mass, calm down, we saw it. But I just
gotcha.
not a lot of people saw it. But yeah, I think if I were making a list of my personal favorites of this year, I would put all four of the main actors in that movie in my best list because it's 90 minutes of just sheer on the edge of your seat intensity and you hang on every single word.
Yeah, the movie is in my favorites of the year. I too would have loved to see more recognition for it. And I think as we get some of the other categories that may show up, definitely the screenplay for that film. A lot of people that I've talked to didn't realize that it was an original screenplay because it reads very much like a play.
I agree.
Just to show how because it's mainly in one setting, and it relies heavily on the relationships that are created between the four main characters, and I think that's where this ensemble really thrives, is in all the arcs that each and every single character have and how those intersect, and how it's just beautiful acting and reacting. That's the movie, and subtlety and nuance are just beautiful. It feels like a real conversation that real people are having.
It's so dialogue driven, and I am very surprised that it's not based on a play. It feels like a play adaptation. It reminds me a lot of 12 Angry Men. I just recently watched Mass, just for the record. So it's still very fresh in my mind, and I'm still gathering thoughts about it. But the reason I love 12 Angry Men, it's one of my favorite films ever, is because as the film goes along and it's all in this one room, you start getting more of a claustrophobic feel. The beginning of 12 Angry Men are a lot of wide shots, the camera's in the corner of the room showing all of it at the beginning, and then near the very end, there's a lot of tight shots. You can see sweat dripping down, and I think Mass touched upon that a lot too. I think. And now, 12 Angry Men was directed by Sidney Lumet, in his first ever film, and it was astonishing. I think this director did okay, but it's the performances that really bring Mass out. And I would love to see Ann Dowd get nominated. I'm not sure I can see it happening. but she's in the possibles. She's not a long shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there is a very strong front runner in this race, and it is Ariana DeBose for playing Anita, just as Rita Moreno won for playing Anita in the last West Side Story film. I think it would be cool. It could be cool to see Rita Moreno and Ariana DeBose both up for the same Oscar. I don't really see it happening. They are up for the same Critics' Choice Award, so it could, but it's a tough call. And sometimes when there is such a strong front runner, Oscar does nominate somebody else from that film. We saw it last year when Daniel Kaluuya was such a strong front runner for Judas and the Black Messiah. Suddenly he was up against his co-star Lakeith Stanfield. Could you see that happening again this year with West Side Story? Anybody?
Yeah, I think with the supporting races, I think we can see a few films that may have multiple nominees, just depending on how much the Academy embraces them.
Yeah, I agree. It's not out of the question, but you could make the same case for something like Belfast in both supporting categories.
Yeah, and we'll touch upon that in the next award, but yeah. And I think Best Supporting Actress, you see it a lot more often too than the other acting awards. Like coming to mind, The Help had Jessica Chastain and Octavia Spencer. The Favorite had Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone. Almost Famous had Kate Hudson and Frances McDormand. It routinely happens in this award for whatever reason. So, and it's a very strong possibility it could happen again this year. I don't predict it, but I wouldn't be surprised. Anybody else have something to add about supporting actress? Kels, do you have any favorites at all? You want to see Ariana DeBose come along and win for West Side Story, or?
No, I'm not going to talk about that because my opinion is unpopular. So Taylor will kill me.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay. Well, in that case, we'll just move right along.
I will say I have seen some predictions just lately, the past, like that Judi Dench might slip in with and be a second Belfast nomination for supporting actress, just like we might have that situation as you're about to talk about in Best Supporting Actress.
You can never ever count out Dame Judi Dench.
Well,
I
no,
understand
when you win
that
an Oscar
completely.
for being on screen for 30 seconds, I guess you can never
She
count
does.
that.
She does have one of the shortest performances.
8 minutes. It's 8 minutes.
8 minutes in Shakespeare in Love.
Was it
Playing
really
royalty.
that long?
Again, portrayals of real life people. It never hurts. Let's move along to Best Supporting Actor. All right, Jeff, I'll let you take the reins.
It's so funny that we were just talking about this, but I think what's going to happen, Cody Smith-McPhee, Troy Kotsur, Kieran Hines, and then two kind of controversial in my five, Ben Affleck, who's received quite a bit of buzz for The Tender Bar, and I saw the film, he's great in it.
Yeah.
And I think Jesse Plemons, I'm forecasting a lot of love for The Power of the Dog, and I think we're gonna have a similar situation that we had last year. I think Jesse Plemons gets in that fifth spot. Just out of the outpouring of love for Power of the Dog. Possibilities, Jamie Dornan, also Belfast, Jared Leto. We have Mike Feist from West Side Story, and Bradley Cooper, again, talk about short performances in Licorice Pizza. As he had the SAG Award nomination, so I have him, I can't count him out. So and Jared Leto as well has that SAG nomination.
Right. Okay. I think we're gonna have a lot of differing in this one. Taylor.
And this is my most controversial. I kind of shot for the stars on supporting actor.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Taylor, what do you think?
This is one that I'm not as well studied on, but I would say the three that I think are locks right now are indeed Cody Schmidt-McPhee, Kieran Hines, and Troy Kotsur.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I'd agree with
would,
that.
I would not be well versed enough to give an opinion on 4 and 5 as of right now.
Okay. But if you had to make a choice right now, what do you think? You would have
Like if
anything?
I had to choose like a 4th or a 5th, or if I had to choose who I
Yeah. Fourth and a fifth.
um I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm drawing a blank on who's like even in consideration right now, because it's just been, I feel like Cody Schmidt McPhee and Kieran Hines have kind of been dominating the conversation. And I'm also just a really, really big fan of Troy Kotzer's performance in Coda. So I'm glad that he's kind of getting to come along for the ride.
Yeah, that's another winner of a Gotham Independent Film Award, actually. And yeah, that I'm in agreement that the 3 front runners, Cody Smith McPhee, The Power of the Dog. Here, I'll just show you my nominations. Here we go. So I think Bradley Cooper for Licorice Pizza. I've got Mike Face for West Side Story. I have, is it pronounced Saran
No,
Hines?
it's Kieran, like Kieran Culkin. It's
Oh,
the
okay,
Irish
yeah.
spelling of it's Kieran.
Okay, Kieran Hines for Belfast. I do have Troy Kotzer for Coda, and the front runner, I believe, is Cody Smith McPhee for The Power of the Dog. These are there's a lot of inspiration on my picks here. Bradley Cooper, as we mentioned, did get a Screen Actors Guild nomination. It was a bit of a surprise, but I started looking up a little bit more about this performance, and it's a bit of an inside joke, honestly, that he's
It's
playing
based on
this
a real
character.
person.
It is based on a real person. It is based on a producer of A Star Is Born, and the very recent film that Bradley Cooper starred in and produced, also A Star Is Born. He reading into it, he gave this guy a producer credit only. He was not allowed on the set at all, and it was the reputation that caused this. And here he is a few years later playing the guy in Licorice Pizza, and it is a short timed performance, but when he is on screen, I happen to think he makes the most of it. And it's kind of a performance I like to see Bradley Cooper play, if that makes any sense. He's kind of in that Tom Cruise vein of acting where, like, he could play an a-hole, like he's just very good at playing an a-hole, and for whatever reason, it translates so well in this performance, in
And
my
he hasn't
opinion.
really gotten to work his comedy chops in a while. I think that was kind of nice to see. And he is a frequent nominee by the Academy. If you,
he is
he
absolutely.
was nominated 3 years back to back, so that speaks very well for his chances as well.
For sure, and that could cause some fatigue. We never know, but I think he's still fresh in voters' minds. He still has yet to win an Academy Award, but I mean, I love when he does comedy. Like, Silver Linings Playbook, he was nominated. I can't remember. He was nominated for American Hustle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another one.
And then that Laugh Riot, the American Sniper.
Yeah, one. Well, but yeah,
The Baby Enough is enough for a laugh in American Sniper.
The prop baby, yes. Let's never forget the prop baby of American Sniper. I would love to see Mike Face get a nomination for West Side Story. Kells is with me. I see ya. I think he ultimately won me over when I left West Side Story, and two of the people were here when I did. I was kind of still conjuring my thoughts about this portrayal of Riff, because he struck me. I think I told you he reminded me of Matthew, the guy that runs Botchamania, the famous YouTuber. I mean, he's kind of built like that, and but he still came across as a tough guy. And I think it was fueled by his backstory and his they touch upon his background in this film, and it's like, yeah, it absolutely makes sense. This is an incredible performance, and I'm happy that BAFTA was able to notice it. He got a little bit of critic love before that, and I think I see the Academy throwing a lot of love to West Side Story, and I think it's going to happen here. And I think him versus Cody Smith-McPhee would be an interesting development, as well as Troy Kotsur in Coda. I have yet to see Coda. I really want to see it. It's the only Producers Guild nominee I have yet to see. But Jeff and Taylor, you both have seen Coda. Tell me about this performance.
It's another one that's very subtle performance. Plays the deaf father of the main character, and pretty much the entire family. For those who don't know, CODA is Child of Deaf Adults, right? That's
yes.
the acronym. So the main character's entire family is deaf. So Marley Mountain, Troy Kotsur, and the name escapes me of the actor who plays her brother. They're all fantastic, and
okay.
Troy Kotsur kind of is very much the patriarch of the family. Very much has a lot of impact on the main character and the story, and just has a lot of heart and just has a lot of great wry humor.
Okay.
It's a very layered, and it's really a touching performance. Like just how he interacts with his hearing daughter, and it's a great performance. And he along with Cody Smith-McPhee, the only four that I have that have all four acting precursor nominations. So Golden Globe, SAG, Critics' Choice, and BAFTA. So very good to see that he's getting recognized for that performance. And as we know, the Academy has a rich history of hearing impaired performances being nominated. So
that's true. I did want to ask, I know Marlee Matlin is deaf in real life. Is that also the case with Troy Kotsur?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the actors who portray the hearing impaired family are all hearing impaired themselves.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. Taylor, tell me what you thought about Coda and this performance.
I really enjoyed Coda. It was one that I don't know, it was kind of just like on the back burner for me. And then I had a free night, and I was like, I guess, I'll cross this off the list. I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. I will throw in there too that like a lot of, I don't want to say the absurdism of the situation, but their daughter who is hearing decides that she wants to be a singer. And obviously that's something that her family, cannot enjoy as, those who with hearing can. Yeah. So that kind of adds to the comedic aspects of it, kind of giving somebody grief for wanting to go into the arts for a completely unrelated reason to, stability. But I thought his performance was really, really great. And like Jeff said, a lot of heart in his performance, and I don't want to undercut like just how funny he was. Mm-hmm. And he and Marlee Matlin have great chemistry together, and they're both really funny together as well. Mm-hmm. It's one of the first scenes in the movie, and I don't want to give away the context, but we'll just say it takes place in a doctor's office, and it's a very, very awkward conversation that their daughter has to translate for them, and it's hilarious.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. I have to check this movie out, and I will. I assure you, I will. I did not get a chance to go. I didn't get a chance to type up any possibles or long shots for this before we started recording. But I will say, in the possibles, I definitely would have included Jared Leto with House of Gucci, Ben Affleck and The Tender Bar. I probably also would have included Jesse Plemons for The Power of the Dog as a possible. And for the exact reason, it's the Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield thing again. Cody Smith McPhee seems like the far runner by a long margin. Maybe throw in a co-star to shake things up. But as far as long shots, and some of these I deeply love, Jeffrey Wright for The French Dispatch, I definitely would include as a long shot. I would love to see him get a nomination for that film. I think The French Dispatch is one of the best movies of the year, and I'm sad I'm not seeing a lot more love for it. I cheered when I saw the Writers Guild nomination. But we'll get to the writing. I also would throw in Jason Isaacs from Mass. I thought he has, in particular, a very solid monologue in that film. And he's an actor I've kind of been quietly rooting for over 2 decades now, because I think I first saw him in The Patriot with Mel Gibson playing the evil redcoat. And he's just a strong actor. I would also throw in Robin DeJesus for Tick Tick Boom. That's another performance I would stand up and cheer if his name is called Tuesday morning. Especially after watching Tick Tick Boom a second time. Robin DeJesus gives such an underrated performance in that movie. And Reed Birney for Mass, I would throw him in there as well. Let's see, Jamie Dornan for Belfast, of course. And to an extent, maybe even J.K. Simmons in Being the Ricardos, who got a Critics' Choice Award nomination. What do you all think about those long shots?
Pretty solid.
Yeah, the only one that I would throw into is like a very, very, very out of left field possibility would maybe be like a Mark Rylance from Don't Look Up.
Yeah, that was a pretty funny performance of the pretty funny final line.
He made some choices.
Didn't he though? Yeah. And as he does, as Mark Rylance does. I thought he was very funny. A little bit of his character from Ready Player One slipping in there, I think, a little bit. But is there anybody in that list that you would like jump up and cheer if you heard their name and you were not expecting it?
Probably Robin DeJesus, like you said. That'd be really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, same. One kind of long shot that we saw on the BAFTAs is Woody Norman from Come On, Come On. That's another film, not to the extent of Mass, but another one that I've thoroughly enjoyed that I'm just not seeing much awards love for. So that would be kind of interesting to see, some recognition for Come On, Come On.
That's Mike Mills, right? Who made that film?
Yes.
The same guy that did Beginners and 20th Century Women.
Yep. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix as the lead. And you mentioned Gabby Hoffman.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that film. I don't really know a lot about it.
Definitely worth seeing.
Okay. Is it kind of a same as a lot of Mike Mills films, a little kind of soft, moving, soft-spoken, but still
it's got a lot
very observational.
Yes, very observational, very cinema verite almost. Like it's like you have Joaquin Phoenix as the lead, so it's very very rooted in realism. So
okay. Kels, I saw you throwing up some hearts when I brought up Mike Faced. It seems you have some opinion on that.
He's my future husband. My cougar version of myself, future husband. I think it's only a 10-year age difference. But no, I find it kind of interesting that there's so much talk about the female performances in West Side Story, but the supporting men aren't getting as much attention, so I'm glad to see that Mike Face did get that nomination, because I think that the men are just as strong as the women in their respective roles. Supporting men are just as strong as the supporting women in their respective roles. As far as who would, I would like to see win based on what the most likely nominations will be. I'd love to see Cody Smith McPhee or Kieran Hines. Either of those two, I would love to see win. So
Something worth bringing up. Let's say theoretically that Ariana DeBose does win for West Side Story. The 1961 West Side Story, both supporting acting Oscars went to that film. We talk a lot about Rita Moreno winning, but the role of it was Bernardo.
yes.
Also won Best Supporting Actress.
George Chakiris.
Sorry, Best Supporting Actor. And in this recent film, it's David Alvarez, who is a routine name on Broadway. What do you think the odds are of him suddenly showing up, like kind of all Jonah Hill in this category?
I don't think it's likely since his name hasn't been brought up in any of the other precursor awards at all. But now Mike Faith's name has been, so.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, Riff kind of steals the show a little bit from Bernardo in this one, in my opinion. So I feel that. Okay, I think we need to move along to the Screenplay Awards. We're running a little long, but that's all right. We'll just breeze through these. Jeff, how do you feel about original screenplay?
Original screenplay.
Yeah.
I have. Make sure I'm in frame. Okay. Licorice Pizza, Belfast, King Richard, Being the Ricardos, and Don't Look Up. And for my possibilities, Parallel Mothers and Mass. There again, as I mentioned earlier, one of the greatest strengths of Mass is its screenplay. So I would love to see it crack the short list.
For sure. Absolutely. Taylor, how do you feel about original screenplay? Let's see.
This is another one that I'm not as well studied on as I would have liked to be for this conversation. But Jeff seemed pretty on target, in my opinion, and I agree. It would be really, 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 really cool to see Mask get in, just because, like I said, it is just the dialogue in that is just so juicy, and you hang on every single word. But yeah, I think Jeff
absolutely
hit the nail on the head.
Okay, yeah, I absolutely agree. His picks mirror mine, because I think these are also the nominations both for the BAFTAs and the Critics' Choice Awards. I think it is these five, being the Ricardos, which was Aaron Sorkin, obviously, Belfast, Kenneth Branagh, Don't Look Up was Adam McKay, and I'm failing to remember the other guy's name. I'll get back to you on that. We got King Richard, which was the director that wrote that, right? Zach Balin. And then
Richard Green is the director.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Zach Balin was the writer. Okay. I apologize. But Paul Thomas Anderson also for Licorice Pizza there.
Don't Look Up is Adam McKay and David Sirota.
There you go. David Sirota. Thank you. Yeah, I think I don't think there's a lot of question that this is going to be the original screenplay bunch. The Writers Guild, for whatever reason, Belfast was not eligible, and the French Dispatch came along for that spot. And you can't count out a Wes Anderson movie as far as screenplays go. I don't think this one has the heft that some past films had, like Moonrise Kingdom or Grand Budapest Hotel. And I'm sorry to say that because I love the film again. But yeah, I would say the front runner right now in that bunch is probably Belfast, just because it won the Golden Globe. And the Golden Globe doesn't separate screenplay. It's just best screenplay. And there you have it. So I think this is Belfast's best chance at a win, actually, come Oscar night. Anybody have any thoughts on original screenplay before we move along?
I think Licorice Pizza is really strong.
Yeah, I think I would actually say that is the front runner right now.
Really? Okay. The film is leaving a few people cold, just from my friends' points of view. I think it's because it's just kind of slim on plot a little bit. Like it feels more, that film feels like a little bit like American Graffiti. It's like a moving snapshot of the time period, and it's, you know, the coming of age stuff with watching this romance blossom. So you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I can understand that. I loved it. I thought it was fine. Paul Thomas Anderson can be very hit and miss with me, and we've talked about that on the private chat, but this one hit for me. Kels, do you have any thoughts on screenplay? No? Okay, we'll just keep going then. All right. Let's go with adapted screenplay. What do you think, Jeff?
I have got The Power of the Dog, The Lost Daughter, Coda, West Side Story, and Drive My Car. Possibilities: Dune, Nightmare Alley, and The Tragedy of Macbeth. If you'd asked me a couple months ago if I thought Dune was going to be in the 5, I would have said yes. So it's kind of interesting for me to put it kind of in the on the bubble, because again, it was such a passion project of Denis Villeneuve. But I really think this is one that Drive My Car is gonna crack through, because again, the screenplay is one of my favorite parts about the film. Nightmare Alley is worth mentioning because Guillermo del Toro was very clear that it was not a remake of the 40s film,
Right.
that it was taken from the novel, the source material. So I think that could have some weight. Tragedy of Macbeth, again, don't count out the Coen.
No.
And I think Tony Kushner's approach to West Side Story, I think that might get some recognition. How he kind of, even though it's still set in the 50s, brings it so it very much feels like it's appropriate for today. So I think this is very interesting, but I do think Power of the Dog is currently the front runner. And again, we mentioned Lost Daughter. Could be another place that film shows up in the nominations here.
Okay. Yeah. Taylor, what do you think about adapted screenplay?
I'd probably be inclined to agree with most of Jeff, but most of Jeff's predictions. But I don't know. I feel like foreign films are always just a little bit of a wild card, just on whether or not the Academy will take to them or not. So I would probably sub out Drive My Car for Nightmare Alley.
Okay.
As of right now.
And not Dune.
Gotcha. Okay, and I'm gonna stay solid with Dune. I think that's the only difference also for me. But I've got Coda, Dune, The Lost Daughter, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. I threw in West Side Story because again, Tony Kushner. It's hard to go against Tony Kushner, and I nearly did. I was considering putting in Joel Coen for The Tragedy of Macbeth, or Nightmare Alley, which did get the Writers Guild nomination. But I think a big reason Dune has resonated is the screenplay. I think the fact that you know, it's coming a little bit, I wouldn't say on the heels necessarily, but we did have David Lynch's Dune in the 80s that has, you know, I'll say a less than favorable reputation with a lot of people. And this was a lot more, again, also like Nightmare Alley, closer to the novel. And I think people were ready for this film, and it's hard to go against it. It's a very strong adaptation. I almost didn't put West Side Story. Tony Kushner's name is the reason I did, because sometimes musicals don't exactly get that kind of love they should in the screenplays. I'm wondering, I want to say the 1961 West Side Story was not up for screenplay. But I just kind of trying to remember that from all the dorky loggings I do of the Academy Awards history. But I don't know, we'll find that out. But I think this one could be Power of the Dog versus West Side Story. And we'll see, I guess. I think the Power of the Dog could be the front runner right now. I think it's between the two of them. I think this whole season has kind of been Power of the Dog versus West Side Story.
So fun note on your West Side Story.
Yes.
It was the only award it was nominated for that it lost. It was
Oh,
nominated
that's
for
what I'm
11,
remembering. Okay.
and it won 10 of them. And the one that it did not win was Best Writing. So
Okay. So it would have been a clean sweep if
It
they had
was
just
11
got
for
that
11,
screenplay award.
which would have given them the record for most Oscars. It would have tied with Ben-Hur with 11 wins.
Holy cow. Okay.
Yeah, let's see who did win, just out of curiosity for
In
screenplay.
61? Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, let's see. I'm getting there.
It's not To Kill a Mockingbird. That was the next year. I know that was
right. Yeah.
yeah.
There's a whole game show about the years ending in 2.
Yeah, there are.
The winner was Judgment at Nuremberg.
Okay.
But that category is also Breakfast at Tiffany's, Guns of the Navarone, and The Hustler. So
Oh my gosh.
that's a good screenplay year right there. So
what a rich year.
Yeah.
Kels, do you have anything to add as far as adapted screenplay? Did you like West Side Story's adaptation this year?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a lot closer to the stage musical, right? Like as far as which musical number goes, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it's been a while since I've watched the original film all the way through, and I haven't seen the stage version since the 2009 revival. But I do like that I like that they moved the song order back to how it is in the stage revival. I think that's the right choice particularly for the song I Feel Pretty. It coming after in that place is better. But yeah, I mean, I can see why you all have that and definitely see why you all have it in adapted screenplay.
Yeah. The part that I remember best as far as the different adaptation was the song Cool. I thought visually that was one of the better moments of the film. Just the really showing off the art direction and the production design. So does anybody else have something to add to adapted screenplay?
I do not, but speaking of production design, I would say we should do like a lightning round for the remaining categories. Just kind of get our very final thoughts on the kind of the below the line categories.
I'm sorry, my internet's getting spotty. So you're saying like say who we think's going to win those 8?
No, with the other, because we mentioned production design. I think.
Oh yes.
Kind of let's to do a lightning round of those categories as well. So we're not just definitely want to focus on the top 8, but definitely want to have a little bit of conversation about all the other awards. So
sure thing. And you've got some visuals for some of those, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I'll let you lead the way a little bit then.
And Diva wants to be in there too.
Diva, hi Diva.
So yeah, I have kind of predictions in all the categories. So like I said, kind of more of a lightning round style. We're going to start with best live action short. When the Sun Sets, The Long Goodbye, Television, Frimas, and Censor of Dreams, and some of my possibilities, You're Dead, Helen, and The Criminals. So anyone have any thoughts about live action short? It's one that doesn't get a lot of press, so if you don't, we can keep it on rolling.
I'll just say I really like the name You're Dead, Helen.
Right, that's kind of why it's in the possibilities, because I would love to see that.
That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
Yeah, I've still got some research to do on that one for sure. But hey, it looks good.
There we are. Next, best documentary short. Three Songs for Benazir, The Queen of Basketball, Coded, The Hidden Love of J.C. Leyendecker, When We Were Bullies, and Terror Contagion for my top 5. Possibilities, Camp Confidential, America's Secret Nazis, Audible, and Day of Rage. Any thoughts on documentary short subject?
That first film that you mentioned, I think it's the only one I've heard anything about. So it makes sense to see it at the top of your list. I will say that.
Yep. All right, moving on. I love this lightning round format.
Yeah.
Best animated short. We have Us Again, The Windshield Wiper, Robin, Step Into the River, Only a Child are my predictions and some possibilities. I think I picked my possibilities based on the names. Maybe you'll see that. Namu, The Musician, and Mum is Pouring Rain. So those are my possibilities there.
Okay, and yeah, just like the last one, Us Again is the one that I have heard a little bit about. And again, it makes sense. It's at the top of your list.
Right. That's with these categories. It's kind of like that. What have I heard of? What have I heard of?
And I do kind of wonder how many, if voters actually just like look at the titles on some of these and
Right.
like,
And
that
will,
looks great.
Once all the nominees are there, I will see all the shorts again this year. Last year is the first year that I saw all 3 categories of shorts. I'm going to try to do the same this year as well. Moving on. Best international film. This probably, is a little bit more known, and a lot of these may be a little bit more familiar. Drive My Car, The Worst Person in the World, A Hero, Flee, and The Hand of God. Those are pretty solid from what I'm seeing as the 5, but also I have possibilities: Compartment Number 6 and I'm Your Man.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Something I forgot to mention, that movie A Hero, that was the best original screenplay winner of the National Board of Review. And that's really the only thing I've seen it pick up, but that's why it would not surprise me to see that for international. And The Worst Person in the World, I mentioned the lead actress earlier on that one.
Yeah, Rinsev.
Yeah.
We're going to go now to documentary feature.
Yes.
And thank you. For that, Flee, Summer of Soul, The Rescue, Procession, and Ascension. They're all about brevity on the titles and documentary for this year.
Yeah.
Those are a pretty strong 5 with possibilities of Attica and Julia. And I will say I've seen Flee and Summer of Soul, and will be very thrilled for those both to be mentioned Tuesday morning, because they are
okay. No, Julia is the one about Julia Child.
Julia Child, correct?
Yeah. And I've read that Attica is as a potential on there. I'd be probably tempted to throw it in my 5. I'm trying to remember the short lists that we've learned, because you can find the short lists of the Academy Awards. They are accessible. What could be nominated.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember, is Becoming Cousteau in that short list?
I have the short list right here. Let me just get to it.
Okay. Because that's another one I might throw in there if it is.
Yeah, that's the good thing about the short list categories. It's kind of a little easier to have those narrowed down.
Yeah, I haven't seen Becoming Cousteau. I did see the trailer for it, and it looked remarkable. National Geographic Productions, I believe.
No.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Well, then never mind.
The remaining First Wave, Riding with Fire, Velvet Underground, In the Same Breath, Simple as Water, Fayadai, Billie Eilish, The World's a Little Blurry, and President are the 15. So
I see. Okay. Well, that's a shame. It does look like a beautiful film.
Yep. And then again, this is another one people are probably more familiar with. Best animated feature.
Yes.
We have Encanto, Luca, The Mitchells versus the Machines, Flea, Raya and the Last Dragon. And viewers at home are like, wait a minute, I've seen Flea on the last 2 as well. That's right. Flea could possibly be nominated in international, documentary, and animated feature.
It sure could.
The first.
Yeah, I'd say those are my 5.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
And
I also have
Encanto,
Sing 2 and Belle just kind of on the possibilities. But yeah, those five I
Yeah.
feel are pretty secure. If Encanto wins, it'll be the first time that a Disney feature has beaten a Pixar feature. So that's kind of an interesting.
whoa, that's something to be said. And that's a very likely scenario too.
Mhm. Yeah,
Taylor,
Luca
do you have
was
anything
the
to add on
front runner
animated
for a
feature?
while,
Yeah.
and then Encanto's kind of overtaken it.
Yeah, but I remember Luca kind of being hit and miss, if I recall.
Agree, but it was the front runner
Taylor,
for a
have
while.
you seen? Yeah, have you seen a few of these here, Taylor?
I have. I've seen Encanto. I've seen Luca. I've seen Mitchell versus the Machines. I think I don't know. They're all. I think those three could probably be classified as the front runners of the category.
Yeah.
I think all three of them have their strengths. I think Luca is really enjoyable, and it's Pixar, so it's really beautiful, but it's more on the side of cute.
I see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be mad at Encanto winning, which I think that is the front runner right now. It's just kind of gotten on a nonstop train. It's like the new Frozen. For the next 4 years, Disney is just gonna do Encanto.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, you'll hear the Bruno song everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. And I really, really, really did enjoy Mitchell versus the Machines. I thought it was a ton of fun. And I love
Yeah.
And it's
That-
just
that
very,
was a
very
delight.
different.
Very
Like,
fast paced.
It's very
Yeah.
different from the other ones, like Flea and Mitchell's versus the Machines, not being in that Disney Pixar world, and it really shows.
Yeah. All right, let's
All right.
go. Keep going on this lightning round.
Costume design. We have Cruella, Dune, House of Gucci, West Side Story, and Spencer are my picks. Nightmare Alley and Cyrano are my possibilities. So
Okay.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Cruella and House of Gucci are pretty likely on there. I'd probably throw Nightmare Alley in there. Honestly, I don't know what I would replace it with.
Yeah.
I would take Spencer
Dune
out of
sounds like a
Nightmare
good one
Alley.
too.
You would take Spencer out of it?
Yeah, just depending on what the reception is for the
Mhm.
film as a whole, I could honestly see Spencer just ending up with a lone nomination for Stewart.
See, I put Spencer in because I thought it was
Okay.
another way to kind of throw him a bone, because the costumes in Spencer are incredible. Like the dresses
I
she
agree.
wears are really great. Cruella, that designer already has 2 Oscars, so that would, in my mind, when I first saw that, I was like, yeah, the costumes are cool in Cruella, but I didn't really think they were better than House of Gucci or Spencer. But when I saw kind of the pedigree of the designer, that kind of made more sense why she was the front runner. So
Oh God, I hope they didn't use real Dalmatians.
they did. No.
Well, for me, I think Cruella deserves the nomination alone, just on that, like the garbage truck
Mhm.
dress.
Yeah, it was
Really,
very
really
innovative. Yeah.
You have my attention now. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The costumes are really good. I was just from a standpoint of like, and they are very integral to the plot as well.
Yeah.
But I just, the sheer like craftsmanship of House of Gucci and Spencer kind of matching. It's kind of that thing with matching the historical accuracy versus innovation with Cruella. So they both have their strengths. Moving on.
Yeah.
I will just say on record, really quick, Cruella is a good movie, and I recommend it.
It's worth a watch, definitely.
It's so much fun.
Enjoyable. It's enjoyable.
It looks
I
like a
definitely agree.
popcorner. Yeah.
Best makeup and hairstyling: The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Dune, Cruella, House of Gucci, West Side Story. Possibilities: The Suicide Squad and Nightmare Alley. Don't count out The Suicide Squad because Suicide Squad won this award. So
Oh yeah,
so
that's a
kind of
good
something
call.
there. And again, you have.
I think Eyes of Tammy Faye is the front runner. I noticed.
Yes, actually,
Yeah.
it is surprising, but it's the thing of like matching that historical accuracy. I would actually say that, and this is going to be, people are going to be surprised I'm giving House of Gucci a compliment, but I think with capturing the actual people, House of Gucci does a much better job of, the prosthetics and everything. But Eyes of Tammy Faye is a lot more subtle. It's a lot more, and that's very funny to say about the Eyes of Tammy Faye, but because it's not really as much prosthetics and fat suits kind of as had been the winners of this award in the past, Darkest Hour.
It's a lot on Chastain individually. Like it's mostly her.
Yeah, the work done for her. Yeah. And some of the hairstyling too for Andrew Garfield, because Jim Baker had such a iconic hairstyle as a televangelist. So that would be my picks there.
Yeah, I would say of what I haven't seen House of Gucci, but from what I've seen, and I say what you will about Jared Leto's performance, but that is a transformation. Holy cow. And that I think will be strong here. I think House of Gucci will get nominated. I think Dune will be nominated too. I think Dune might be my front runner on that. Just very creative costumes in that film.
Visual effects.
Yeah, let's go.
Dune, Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, The Matrix Resurrections, and Free Guy.
Yes.
Possibilities, No Time to Die, and Eternals. I am pulling for Free Guy in this category because it's not your typical like superhero movie. It's got a really it's like the visual effects are very integral in the plot, which I think is really cool. And there's actually like a groundswell for Free Guy. A lot of people want to see that make this category because it is where it really excels. And I also like that I have No Time to Die and Eternals together, because if you're eternal, then you have no time to die.
Very nice. No Time to Die got a lot of love from BAFTA recently, of course. Well, I mean, it's from what I understand, a pretty fun film. I maybe would throw that in instead of one of the Marvel films. I don't know. I think Spider-Man No Way Home may edge out Shang-Chi. But who's to say? And that is another one where you may not rule out the Suicide Squad too, right? I mean,
let's see. I don't know.
Did it make the short list?
As I say, the visual effects is another one that we have short list on. And let me see if I can find.
I just think it would be really fun to say that Free Guy is an Oscar nominee.
Right? I would.
Just like it's really fun to say Eurovision, the Story of Fire saga,
right?
Is an Oscar nominee.
Yeah, Free Guy was one of the more enjoyable films of 2021.
There are only 10 visual, and what did you say?
The Suicide Squad? Is it in there?
It is not. The other ones, Godzilla versus Kong, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and Black Widow were the other three.
Ooh, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I know.
Throw in there.
I know. I could have, like the 10 nominees in this category are pretty strong. Like it's kind of tough to say.
That's true.
Say no.
I feel like that film might get thrown a bone somewhere though. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Best score. We have Power of the Dog, Dune, Don't Look Up, The French Dispatch, and Encanto for my picks. Possibilities: Parallel Mothers, Spencer, and No Time to Die.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you 100% on that, because you got Johnny Greenwood in there.
You got Alexander Desplat, who's previous winner for French Dispatch.
Hans Zimmer. Yeah.
Encanto
Encanto
solid. Is the first female Latina composer in the composer's branch. That's interesting. Cool. All right, best sound. We have.
Is it one award this year?
It's one award again. Yeah.
Okay.
West Side Story, Dune, No Time to Die, Belfast, and Tick Tick Boom, with possibilities of Power of the Dog, Spider-Man No Way Home, and A Quiet Place Part 2 may show up there because very integral to the plot. For that.
So yeah, interesting. You threw Belfast in there. I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
Something I remember very vividly about Belfast is there is a opening sequence of a street riot, and from that point on, I felt immersed in the film, and I think the sound of that scene was the thing that really got me, because I felt like I was in that riot and I felt I was with all the characters at that point, and I just kind of latched
Right.
on
I
and connected immediately. I think sound had a big part of that.
Okay, yeah, I vividly remember the camera going all the way around the child
Mhm.
actor Jude Hill
Mhm.
as he's seeing all of this
Mhm.
horror around him suddenly as he was just trying to go home to mom.
Yep. And I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
that's really
I feel you
good.
on that now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay,
Best song. A lot
okay.
of fun songs this year. Be Alive from King Richard. Dos Oruguitas from Encanto. No Time to Die from I Forget. Just Look Up from Don't Look Up. And Down to Joy from Belfast. Of course, I know No Time to Die is from No Time to Die.
I was gonna say, yeah. I
And
caught
then,
that.
and then one possibility from Respect, Here I Am Singing My Way Home, because again, don't underestimate the power of the Academy and Jennifer Hudson. But there are
Okay.
a lot of fun songs this year.
Yeah, Just Look Up was an interesting one. I think it's really funny. It's Just Look Up for Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Up, yeah. And
That's
it
priceless.
could be Academy Award nominees, Ariana Grande and Kid Cudi, much like Song of Fire and
Wow.
Ice. And then Beyonce's behind Be Alive. So that's kind of why
Yeah.
I have it near the top. It was the front runner for a while. And then No Time to Die kind of came up. And so
I was gonna say, then everybody said, "Oh, there's a Bond song."
right. Which the last two Bond films have won this award. So don't count
It's
those
kind
out.
of nuts to me that Dos Oruguitas is the only Encanto song eligible. Like I remember that particularly with the shortlist.
Well, they've after in Enchanted and Dreamgirls, they revised the rules where only two songs can make the short list total from a film. So they have to choose only two.
I'm sorry, my
songs.
internet is cutting out. Could you repeat that? Just in
Yeah,
case?
they've made revisions to the rules, so only two songs could be from a movie.
Yeah.
In the short list, and so there was a bit of strategy on behalf of the Encanto team of what songs to submit, and so that's one of the reasons why we don't talk about Bruno was not submitted, is they didn't think it would have as much impact as it did. I think they submitted Dos Oruguitas and I don't remember the other song they submitted.
Waiting for a Miracle,
Maybe,
or was
Waiting
it?
for a
Or was
Miracle?
it Surface Pressure?
no, but like I said,
Surface Pressure's great.
yeah, it's kind of like you have to have a bit of strategy. Like you can't just like throw everything like Dreamgirls and Enchanted, you know. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
All
yeah.
right. Yep. Ready to go on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Best production design, the
All right.
category that inspired this little lightning round.
Hmm.
Dune, Nightmare Alley, West Side Story, French Dispatch, Tragedy Macbeth, Possibilities, Cyrano, and Belfast.
Okay. I would love to see the Tragedy in Macbeth earn some love there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think great care was taken in crafting that soundstage.
Yeah. I think this was a strong category this year. I thought.
I agree. Like I could see really any of these seven being in
Yeah.
there.
I'll mention West Side Story.
Mhm.
The song "Cool" really sticks out for me.
Mhm, mhm.
And the dance in the gym as well.
Yeah, the street scenes, like when you look and it's nothing but brightly colored 50s cars and you feel like you're there. I think that was attention to detail.
And Nightmare Alley with all the old time
carnival
carnival rides
stuff.
and such.
Yeah. I think the only like modern day is the French Dispatch, and being Wes Anderson, of course, there's great attention to production design detail.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think everything else is about historical accuracy there. So
Gotcha.
And moving on, cinematography.
Yeah, sure.
Got Dune, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, West Side Story, and Belfast, with Nightmare Alley as a possibility. And I would say if it is, I would maybe Belfast it replaces, or maybe West Side Story. I know cinematography for West Side Story is a bit of a
it's a touchy subject around
It's a touchy subject. So.
The Lynch players.
There were a lot of times during West Side Story. I wish I had these babies on, because yeah, it
Didn't
can
bother
be
me a
pretty.
bit. Didn't bother me.
And you know, a
Didn't
lot of
bother.
people it
I like
didn't.
it.
A lot of people, the backlighting did not bother anybody, but I thought, you know, there was a lot of sepia going on with this film, and the backlighting, I think, just was a bit much for me because of that. I don't know, but it's, you know, this director of photography has been around a long time, and he you know, knows what he's doing. This is another film award that I would love to see Tragedy in Macbeth come along, because it's a gorgeous film.
All right, finally.
Yeah.
Best film editing: Dune, The Power of the Dog, Belfast, Licorice Pizza, West Side Story are my nominees. Don't Look Up, Nightmare Alley, and throwing a bone to Last Night in Soho.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Because of anything in this film, besides production design, the editing in Last Night in Soho is something that really stands out.
Yeah, I mean, Edgar Wright, who loves playing with editing, as he did with Baby Driver. He has a lot of that going on again in this film, and you know, it's maybe not one of Edgar Wright's strongest films, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. Yeah,
that's it. That's all 23 categories.
well, I think we have to end the video, but I'm looking forward to joining you all for Oscar morning. And oh yes, Kels, do you have something to add?
I just have one quick. So I missed Best Director and Best Picture, huh? Did I miss that? Did I pop in?
Yeah, you joined in a little late on that. But,
okay. I would just like to say that my gut tells me that this year will be a year when Best Director will not be also the Best Picture winner. I think it'll be a year where the director will win, and then their picture won't win Best Film. That's just my gut feeling.
Interesting.
Well, do you have in mind which films and which director?
I think Jane Campion will win for The Power of the Dog.
Okay.
But I don't know if it will win Best Film.
I would say if that happens, Belfast will win Best Picture and Campion will win for Power of the Dog.
Or would it be the reverse? Belfast will win Best Director.
I think Campion has the trajectory right now. I think
yeah,
it's hers. And as an essay in filmmaking, Power of the Dog is beautiful. You can definitely see a director's hand in how the shots are set up. And I think that might be something that, for me, Belfast has a lot more personal connection, you know, with the film, and that might work to its advantage. Like it might be a case where people just enjoyed Belfast more than they did Power of the Dog, but they saw like the work that Campion put into it. So I could see in that scenario, that's how it would happen, like what you're describing. Because we've frequently seen in the past 10, 15 years where it has definitely gone that way. Like people have seen the work of a director, but they really didn't connect as much overall with the film. So that is it's very possible. That's a very,
the last time that when was the last time that happened? Was it
Roma?
Ang Lee? Was it Ang Lee for?
No, it was Roma and Green Book.
Green Book.
Oh
One for
yeah.
director and Green Book one. The past 2 years with Parasite and Nomadland have both matched up, but in 2018 was the last time that happened.
That's right.
See, I thought you were gonna say Jane Campion win Best Director and West Side Story win Best Picture.
I don't think West Side Story deserves Best Picture. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think it was great. I enjoyed it as a revival, but I don't think it deserves Best Picture ahead of all those other nominees that are saying something new and different and unique.
That's true. Okay. And West Side Story did win Best Picture in 1961. So, I mean, it would definitely mark history if it were to win. It would be the very first time that a movie with the same title, the same plot. I mean, yeah.
Do we have any instances for Best Picture nominees where a remake has made the list?
Ooh.
Very much how Guillermo del Toro is like, my film is not a remake of the 1940s version. Steven Spielberg has said my film is not a remake of 1961 West Side Story. It is an adaptation of the show.
Yeah.
Very true.
So
But even so, I think it still would classify as a remake because it's not like it's a major difference in the story. So
oh
don't
no,
know,
I
it's
mean I don't
interesting to see,
disagree.
yeah.
I'm just saying from the artist
The perspective.
standpoint.
Oh yeah, 100%. I definitely see what you're saying. All right. Any final thoughts anyone have on how excited
Looking
we are?
forward to Oscar morning.
I will say this year feels a lot different than last year. Like it feels like there's a lot more uncertainty in the top 8 categories.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in
with the
agreement
exception
with
of Best Picture. Like that's the odd thing to me is I feel pretty sure. And last year I did not.
In
feel
9 out of 10.
yeah. So it'll be again. There'll always be surprises. There'll always be snubs. That's what we love about Oscar morning is that
It'll be fun
Absolutely.
to see
the audible
which-
gasps. They're always audible gasps when we.
It'll be fun to see which one of us gets the 10th spot correct, whether it's Macbeth,
or
Ricardo.
something happens and it's 8 of our sure thing 9,
right.
which could happen. I mean, last year I thought for sure One Night in Miami was going to be there, and they were not. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon for a film that you thought was a surefire thing to not
to not
get
make it.
nominated. Carol springs immediately to mind in that
Mhm.
regard.
If there was going to be something truly, truly, truly crazy to happen and the Academy just says, screw what everybody else thinks, we're going for Spencer, it'd be really cool if Spencer got in for Best Picture as just a completely
Mhm.
unprecedented thing to happen.
Yeah.
Or the French Dispatch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Everybody punch that bell. Subscribe to Chris Likey Movies. Thank you for joining us on this chit chat. I'm going to post this video just as soon as possible. Might even be the same day. Let's find out. Love you all. Thank you so much. Have a great night and see you Oscar morning.